Hi, I'm George. Let's take a look at the new features here in Photoshop Elements 2022. Also, make sure you take a look at my complete training course for Photoshop Elements. There's a link right down there in the description. And don't forget to subscribe for more great videos. Okay, we'll start off with the absolute best here. This is a must-have. This is something which I've wanted to see here in Photoshop Elements for a long time, and that's image warp. Text warp has been inside Photoshop Elements for ages, but there's always been a need for image warp, and we now have that. It allows you to do such things as warp images to fit onto a mug, like I have right back there. Let's take a fast look and see what this works like. All you need to do is have two pictures. One is your base picture, and then one is your picture with your warped image. Take that picture, drop it in like this. I'll just drag and drop like that. Let's hide that, get that out of the way. And I'll resize this layer. There we go. And hit that check mark. That places it in place. Now, that's just normal stuff. We've been able to do that for a long time now. Now, if we go back to the Move tool and Control-T keyboard shortcut to bring back up our options down below, you'll see right down here, here's a new little icon. This is Free Transform and Warp modes. Click on that. We're now in Warp mode. Now, in here, you have several options. These are all standard warps. This is the same set of warps that we had with text. We had that again for ages. But we can now do this kind of a warp here on a regular image. I'll do a bulge warp. There we go. That's just one. You can go back and forth on these. Here's a wave warp. Here's a fisheye effect. Here's a squeeze effect. So all kinds of great, easy to do warps this way. Plus at the bottom is custom. This is the really exciting one. Let's first go back to none. There it is. And then we'll go back to custom. With custom, you get this grid that has control handles on it. Now you move this from the corners, and the control handles allow you to adjust the amount of curve. So if I grab a corner here, I can pull that corner around anywhere I want to, like that. We can do this kind of an interesting thing in here. There we go. And then we have these control handles here that allow you to adjust the amount of curve from each one of those corners. So it's just a huge amount of creativity and flexibility here in being able to warp an image. Now that's just kind of fun and strange looking, but I'll go back, let's set this back to none. Let's see a practical demonstration of this. Let's switch back to our regular mode here. This is Free Transform mode. And I'll now resize this to fit on the mug. See how easy this is. I actually did a project how to do this, and it's quite a few steps before the old-fashioned way. There we go. So I fit that to the mug. Let's go over here now to a warp mode. We're in custom. That's good. I'm just going to grab these control handles. Let's pull that top down just a bit until curvature fits. You could also grab in the middle like this and kind of move that. That's pretty good. Let's come down here and I'll pull the bottom down a bit until it fits better. And I think that's a pretty good curve. Now it's important on these to match the curve if you're matching a nice even curve like that. And that's a pretty good match right there. Choose OK. And I can then reposition that. And there we go. Very quickly and very easily we warp this picture. It's a little bit off at the top here. So let's do the Control-T, go back to that again, back to our warp tool. We're still on custom. And I can then pull that top down just a little bit more until I'm happy with that. So you can go back and forth with this as well. And there we go. Great tool. Again, this is something which has been needed in Photoshop Elements for a long time. And I'm really happy to finally see this. And I think this one tool makes version 2022 a must-have update. Okay, let's see what else is new here in Photoshop Elements 2022. The next new effect here is Artistic Effects. And that's down here at the bottom where it says Effects right here. Click on that. And that brings up the effects panel. Now normally this looks like this. It now has a classic tab over here. This is your normal or classic effects. But added to this is now a big artistic tab. And in here you get these thumbnails of a whole bunch of different artists and artist styles. There's quite a few as you can see. All you have to do is just to click on one. And it's then going to apply that effect style onto your image, making a real fast and real easy artwork. Now you have some options down below here. You can keep the original photo colors if you want to, and just apply the brush strokes like that, or also add in the colors. You can adjust the intensity of the effect right here, so it's quite a bit of flexibility on this. There we go. You can choose to have this applied to the background or to the subject, and to change an effect, just choose a different effect, right hand side. It then applies that style based upon that artwork. So it's real easy, and as you can see, very fun to quickly come through here and make some fun, fascinating, interesting artwork just by clicking on these different art styles. Now it may take a moment or two for it to change the style. Don't worry about that if it's a little slow. It's just figuring out the whole process. It's using the Adobe Sensei AI technology to do that. There you go. That fast, that easy, and just kind of a fun way to do real fast, really interesting artwork. Some of these are a little less than interesting. Some of these are, I think, really exciting. It depends, again, upon the image. I think the ones that are more artistic looking over here will be giving you the better effect over on your image on the left-hand side. I actually kind of like that one quite a bit. Let's go clear to the top on that. There we go. Pretty wild. Back off just a bit and right there. That's pretty fun. So there you go. That's the new artistic effects. The next new trick here in Photoshop Elements 2022 to add some life and excitement to a photograph is to put in animated overlays. And that's up here under the Enhance menu, right down there, Moving Overlays. And here, a lot of options. Right-hand side, we have Overlays, Graphics, and Frames. In Overlays, there are quite a few of these, you can see. There's some butterflies right there. Here's some soap bubbles. There's some fireworks things going on, some stars. In the Graphics, there's a balloon. Here's some smoke effects. More smoke effects, kind of a star thing. And in Frames, there are a few frames here. Not a lot. Hopefully they'll add in more of these effects in future editions, just increase the number of options in here. Let's start off with the overlays. Yeah, this is kind of a snow scene, so I'll grab this snowflake overlay right here. We'll apply that one. Then I will put on some snowflakes onto the image. Now this one includes snowflakes and also just some fuzzy snow. There's kind of fuzzy snow effect, and here's some snowflakes effect. Now to see the motion, come down and click on this play button. There we go. It puts this motion overlay right on top of your image. Let's say you didn't want to have it on top of the girl's face in here. An easy way is just click on Protect Subject, and then the Sensei AI goes through and protects the subject, and now we don't have any snowflakes happening right in here. Maybe you want to have just this area clear and snowflakes over the body, which would look pretty good because it's dark. We'll then actually see them. Come down to Refine Overlay, and if we click down here, it says Show Selection. There is the section. The red area is what's selected. That's where the snowflake's going to be showing. I'm going to add to that, and let's bring our brush size up a little bit here. That's pretty good. And I'll first come in here and just correct this area right around her hood, and then I'll paint in like this, just kind of jagged in there, and then fill it in solid down below. Okay, so now everything that is in this kind of reddish color, that's going to show snowflakes, and in here it's not going to show snowflakes. Let's see how that looks. I'll hide that selection again. Click on the play button, and there we go. A real nice snow effect. But you can combine these with frames. Let's see how that's done. Come down to frames. Now let's pick one of these. Let's take this one right here. Add this frame in. We'll then drop it in. We'll have to reposition this. Now, this is not really appropriate for the snowflakes, but they don't have a snow one, so we'll just go with this. Pull that down like that. There you go. So I'm just repositioning the sides by grabbing the corners. Put that in place with that green check mark. And let's see how that looks. And here we go. There's an animated frame along with our snowflakes in the background and even over parts of the foreground image. Now, when you're finished with this, click on that pause button. You can then output this. Click on Export down here, and you can save it out either as an MP4 video file or as a GIF animated video. Choose one of the two options, choose Save. We'll then save it out as that file type, which you can then share by sending off by email, putting on a website, whatever you want. So real fun, really interesting tool on this one. I think this has a lot of potential uses. Okay, I'm just going to cancel that and get back onto our main page here. The next new feature is called Perfect Pet. It's up here at Guided Edit, and then Special Edits, right down here, Perfect Pet. Now, if you watch their video on this, it does stuff like changing the contrast and brightness of the image, removing the leash and collar. Almost magically, you just brush over the color and it goes away. In reality, that's not the way it works. Let's go ahead, we'll take a look at this one. There we go. Now, cropping and straighten, it can be done here or it can be done over in expert mode. No problem. It's easier over there, actually. On removing unwanted objects, this is one of the magic things that they show. In the video, they just show brushing over the collar and it goes away. It just disappears. That's not how it works. Let's open this up. They have remove collar and leash as an option in here. So you think, okay, I'm just going to brush over this and it's going to remove the collar and the leash. Let's see what happens. Okay, brush over here. Nope, that's not what it is. This actually is just the clone stamp tool. It's a tool that's easier to use over in expert mode. To use it here, you have to bring up your tool options. You can set your size right here, opacity, blend mode, so forth. And you need to choose a place to clone from. Hold the Alt key down, click on that spot, and then clone from there into the area that you want to remove. So it's not as easy as they show. It's not an automated feature at all. It's simply just the standard clone stamp tool. Now, I can do this fairly quickly and easily, and it's going to look great because, of course, I have a lot of experience on this. This is one of those tools that it takes some time to learn how to really use it effectively. It's not something you can just jump in. It's not a magic tool by any means. It's a standard image editing tool. And for a good effect, it takes some time, it takes some practice, and it takes a little bit of skill in here to make this thing work. So I consider that one really basically a lie as far as their video goes. It doesn't work at all like they say. You can do it, but you can do it far better over in expert mode. Down here, selecting your subject, click on that. Now select subject is also available over in expert mode. If you want to select the background, you just do the subject and do select inverse, and you have the background. Nothing special here. Down here, lighting. You can adjust your shadow, your highlight, and your midtone. For instance, I can adjust the shadow values, which actually lightens the shadows or darken the highlights. That's, of course, all standard. I can do the midtones in here. But this is much better done as an adjustment layer where you have a lot more control over it. Again, that's over in expert mode and not here. Same thing for the enhance. This is your lighten, darken brushes and your color cast remover. All this stuff can be done better in expert mode. Finally, down here, there is this effects section. All this has is the autocorrect. Again, that's a one-click expert mode. Sharpen, same thing. Vignette, same thing. Blur, selective black and white. All this stuff can be done far better in expert mode. So this really is a bit of a useless tool. If you take a little bit of time to learn a little bit about how to use Photoshop Elements, this job you can do much better in expert mode. And I really don't care for this particular tool at all. Wouldn't even bother with that one. And the last new feature here is the extend feature, allowing you to extend the background. This is also a guided edit, and like most guided edits, it's kind of hit or miss. It really depends upon how you use it. This again is one of those things I think you can do much more easily with a better effect by doing it over in expert mode. Just a little bit more work and a much better, if not perfect, result. Okay, special edits, extend background right here. Bring this one up, there we go. Now to use this right, let's say I wanted to make this wider. You can set your canvas size in here. I would stay away from any of this stuff. This is going to cause you problems. I'll show you that in just a moment. Let's come down here to custom. Let's say I wanted to make the background wider. I'll change the width here to 2500 like that. I'll leave the height alone. Choose apply. So there's now more space on the two sides. Once you're at this point, scroll down and you have two ways to adjust this. Autofill is going to copy this area and move it over here. And copy this area and move it over here. It's basically going to be doing a clone stamp. So that might not be what you want. Let me just do autofill and you'll see what I mean here. It looks good, but this reflection here obviously was duplicated. That's a bit of a problem. I'll just use the Control Z key to back up. Extend in most cases will be better. What extend does is it takes this area in here and stretches it. But by stretching it, you also need to protect part of the image. That part of the image will not be extended. So let's do that one, extend. Simply come down here, click on protect. You can choose a brush size down there. That's okay. We can do a brush size right here and go a little larger than that. It'd be nicer if I could type in the brush size down here. That's a little bit of an error. Okay, now just brush over what you want to keep and go a little ways past it. Like that. And do the outline first. Let me get that little stray hairs so they don't get messed up. And come down right to this side. And then let's fill this in. So the whole thing has been protected. There we go. Now, one thing about this, you're going to need to have a nice background that's easily extended, not anything really noticeable in here. If there is, you're going to see where this happens. Okay, I'll choose done. It then stretches that out. Notice that this is now moved over a little bit and it's a little bit wider, so it just stretched that area. And the same thing on this side, it stretched that area. It looks good, but I could have done this over in expert mode actually. It's much easier over there and you get a better result. Okay, let's now see what some of the options are. Down here we have a spot healing brush. It's the same spot healing brush as you have over in expert mode. Clone stamp tool, same thing as over in expert mode. Again, this is really just done better over there. I'm going to undo this, just back up here. This is the reset button. And let me show you what happens if you choose a different setting. Let's say I wanted to change this from a landscape to a portrait by stretching the image out in a portrait manner. So go ahead, we'll do letter portrait. There we go. And I'll do autofill and you'll see what happens here. It's really kind of a strange thing going on. There you go. It does a lot of weird clone stamping kind of odd behavior in there. Doesn't look very good. Okay, let's just undo that. Let's set our canvas size here to portrait again. This time let's try extend and I'll protect the image just like we did before. Like that. There we go, and get a good protection in here. It would be nice if I could grab these corners and maybe shift the position of this, but you can't do that, you're stuck. So let's now see what happens here. I'll do the extend this time, and done. Again, interesting, but I'm sure that's not really what you want. That's not really the effect that you want. Now, if we had done this over in expert mode, I simply could have resized this to the right size and then done a little extension where I needed it, a little bit of clone stamping, easier and much better results. So again, this is another one of those guided edits that I just don't like. I don't really see any reason for this one. But there you go. That's my feeling about most guided edits. I really don't like them, and I rarely use them. Some are really nice. The photo merge stuff here is excellent. Most of the rest of them really are better just done over here in expert mode. So there you go. And one that I do consider a game changer. It's worth the upgrade for this one feature alone. I mean, this is going to be so useful in the future. This one has some real definite possibilities. I think I can do a lot with this one as well. This is the art effects. I think this is a great feature as well. I wouldn't call it a game changer because I may not use it all the time, but very nice new feature. The animated overlays and animated image, maybe yes, maybe no, it depends upon if you have a use for that. And then these two guided edits really can just be ignored. Okay, there you go. That's a look at these new features here inside of Photoshop Elements 2022 and my personal feelings about how each one works and if it's really worth it or not. And again, this one is worth it. Okay, make sure you hit that like button, click on share, click on subscribe. Check out my complete training course for Photoshop Elements. There's a link for that right down there in the description, and I'll see you next time.